Ryan Rozicki won by first round TKO with a referee stoppage in his fight with Durodola in North Sydney. Meanwhile, in social media, there's a rift between fans of the sport of boxing and die-hard fans of Rozicki with very little appetite for anything less than full support.
Carpentier may be hurt. He's holding on. Carpentier is battered. Dempsey advancing. Carpentier is in trouble. Dempsey still belting away, and Dempsey goes after him and out. And Jack Dempsey remains heavyweight champion of the world.
Hi, I'm Joe Ward of Boxer Shorts Media, and there's absolutely no need of a ringside report if you just watched Rozicki end a man's career. It was an absolute destruction. In my video before the fight, my prediction was that Rozicki would get the knockout, potentially with help from the mercy of the referee, around the 2-minute mark of the second round. Of course, Rozicki decided he'd do it a round earlier. So I'll explain the rift in social media, and I'll explain why the results of the fight make it irrelevant. So firstly, it's clear that Rozicki is a controversial guy. The same small-town effects that gave the young fighter a huge fan base before he was anywhere near the top of the rankings comes with the caveat of familiarity with his backstory. Rozicki never avoids acknowledging that the very reason he's involved with boxing at all was due to a judge that saw sports as a way to channel his energy that was otherwise doing nothing for him, beyond maybe getting him into trouble. But he's run into trouble with the law as an adult too, and plenty of people see that aspect of his life as more important than his success in boxing. But I'm a boxing fan, and my comments are going to stick to his boxing career. Now, the rift between folks who are fans of him as a boxer and those who are critics of him because of life outside of boxing will have to resolve itself. This is a problem that exists everywhere in boxing, and it's not isolated to Rozicki. Many boxers with the kind of killer instinct that drives them to the top also has gotten them into trouble in life, and fans of the champions have to deal with that dilemma for many of the biggest names in boxing. However, there's another rift solely based on boxing as a sport that arose within social media commentary both before and after the fight, and that came as folks saw Durodola as less of an opponent than marketed. For some, knocking down the opponent a peg is a way to diminish Rozicki's ring accomplishments, but I'll tell you why it doesn't matter in a second. Firstly, I love the sport of boxing, and I love playing armchair analyst. I did the same thing in my last video. I went over Durodola's stats on BoxRec. I took note of his age, his competitors, and watched some fight video. And at 43 years of age, with a lot of losses on his record, and recent wins coming via low-caliber opponents, pretty much everyone in boxing knew that Rozicki was supposed to win this one. It is what it is. But that's how boxing works. If you have a favorite boxer and you start to look at how they've accumulated their wins earlier in their career, then the pattern is fairly obvious. If they have a good team, then they know how to manage their opponents and gain them experience while always minimizing their risk, and they pursue those bankable, unbeaten records that can be so lucrative later in their careers if they keep winning and stick with it for long enough. Now, all of the various ABC boxing sanctioning groups have their own internal politics. They decide on the rankings, they can order matches, and they can sway how everything plays out. And it's totally okay for us to talk about that stuff if we really like boxing. The sport, like any other sport, needs fans that take that kind of interest in order to thrive. Even if fight fans decided that discussion was off limits, do you think that boxing promoters, boxing media, and experts around the world don't know exactly how to analyze a matchup? Of course they do. They also know how boxing is marketed, and they do the same thing with their promotions for their fighters. It's a part of the game. So here's how Rozicki nullified the criticism of his opponent, and here's how I think that was probably the plan of his team all along. If the boxing world is watching, and you know that they know your opponent is well past his prime, then what you're waiting to see isn't if you win or not. They're waiting to see if you secure the convincing early knockout. If it went the distance, or if it went late, or if Durodola gave Rozicki trouble, then that win has lower value. But blast him out in the first round and beat him quicker than anyone else has done before, including former cruiserweight champion who took 7 rounds to do it, and now you have a bankable story. Durodola is past his prime. He should be retired now. But Rozicki didn't just beat him, he annihilated him. So if you're a diehard fan, don't get upset about the armchair analysts having fun. Sometimes they're right. But the fact that there are armchair analysts at all for a Rozicki fight is a reflection of the success of his career thus far. He certainly wouldn't want to be back to the days when nobody paid much attention. He won, he did it convincingly, and now he should be on to a world title shot and bigger paydays. To make sure you don't miss any upcoming episodes, subscribe now to Boxer Shorts Media via your choice of YouTube or Facebook.
Please hang up and try again.